All right, good afternoon. We're convening the Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts on our 1:01 p.m. agenda here in State Capitol Conference Room 224. We do have a number of measures on the agenda today, so we're going to make sure folks, if you haven't yet, submit your written testimony. Because we have so much testimony on this, and I'll say I think there's like 1,000 something people who have submitted testimony, and there's probably a good chunk of those who wish to testify. We're going to be limiting folks to 1 minute for your testimony to make sure that there's time to get to everybody. With that, let's go into the first measure, Senate Bill 3019, relating.
Are those testimonies like recorded, and then like where are they given? We have to get through this. Everything is recorded. It'll be online. And then like they're like given like the council.
Sorry, if you can just
like reflects on the testimony.
You're gonna have to hold up there.
I'm just curious.
So on SB 3019 relating to consumer protection, this measure prohibits the sale of tickets at higher price than the original price charged by the primary venue ticket provider for events held in the state, and permits the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs to adopt rules to impose fines for any violations. Up first, testifying on this measure is the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, Member of the Committee, Emma Olson for the Office of Consumer Protection. We will stand on our written testimony in opposition. We prefer the price transparency approach in SB 2031. Available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Signed up next to testify on Zoom is Rick Bartolini. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chair Lee, Vice Chair Inoue, and members of the committee. My name is Rick Bartolini. For 16 years, I've promoted concerts in Hawaii and brought iconic global artists to the Blaisdell Arena. SB 3019 is simple. It prevents tickets for events in Hawaii from being resold above the original face value. Even the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs acknowledges this measure strengthens consumer protections. Opponents say it reduces choice, but resale does not create more tickets. It does not increase venue capacity. It pulls tickets out of the authorized ticket provider and relist them at higher prices elsewhere. If those tickets stayed with the authorized ticket provider, Hawaii residents would have more choices at face value. Opponents also claim this will push buyers to the dark web, but approximately 85% of resale happens on major platforms like StubHub, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, and Ticketmaster Resale Exchange. Regulating those dominant platforms addresses the vast majority of activity. This bill does not ban resale or transfers. It simply protects the original face value. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Testifying next is the National Independent Venue Association.
Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee, my name is Kendall Gilvar on behalf of the National Independent Venue Association and the Fix the Ticks Coalition, which is working on similar measures nationwide in strong support of SB 3019. NEVA represents thousands of independent venues, festivals, and performing arts organizations meeting nationwide, including in Hawaii. Our coalition unites venues, artists, arts groups, and independent ticketing companies, all united calling for resale price caps. Resale price caps reduce the incentive for extreme markups, bots, and fake tickets that dominate today's secondary ticketing market in Hawaii. They also send a clear message that Hawaii will not be an easy target for professional scalpers. You will hear opposition from marketplaces that dominate resale, calling for a lack of resale price caps, but that market generates hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for price gouging your constituents and consumers. States across the country, almost a dozen now, are enacting and working on these resale price caps, both red and blue, and we work. We offer our advocacy resources to advise and work with your office on pushing forward the resale price cap bill. Thank you.
Good summarize. Thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify in person or online on this measure. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3019? That being said, are there any questions? All right, real quick for DCCA. Thanks. Going through your testimony here, you come out in opposition and then cited ticket transparency. What's the difference between, well, I guess as you explain it here. What's the difference between ticket transparency and ticket scalping?
Ticket transparency requires all of the fees to be included in the price that you see up front. So you're not skipping through all the screens, and then when you go to check out, your price increases by like $30 because of fees that aren't disclosed. And then ticket scalping is the resale of tickets from the original vendors by a third party.
So I'm familiar with the ticket transparency measures. I introduced that last year.
Yes.
We moved it. But how does that stop scalping?
I guess it's a consumer protection approach that's different from scalping. We're more looking at price transparency altogether rather than the secondary market. I think enforcement might be a little bit difficult for our office if there's a total ban on scalping, but that's something that I could look into and get back to you.
So your testimony is not about ticket scalping then
Right.
and the impacts of that.
No, it's about hidden fees in live ticket event sales, which
So
It's kind of
that's a different bill.
a different, yes, we're saying that we support that bill instead of the scalping ban.
Is scalping not an issue for you guys?
Our office does receive some complaints, but we can't take enforcement on scalping issues.
Why is that?
Because a lot of these scalpers are not in state, and it's difficult for us to have jurisdiction over those resellers.
So it's not a problem in your eyes?
I think that it's a problem that could be approached. I'll have to get back to you on that and talk to my office.
Because your testimony is very strong here. Not only are you opposed, you're saying hold the measure, which is, I've never seen, I think, from a department like yours.
Yes. I think that our department's approach is that we're really set on the fee transparency and aligning with the FTC's rule on hidden fees so that enforcement will be straightforward if we have a state counterpart to that rule.
So that's a bigger issue than,
I believe the department sees that as a bigger issue.
let me just ask, and I was just talking with the folks at the Honolulu Symphony. They're hosting an upcoming concert with Joey Saishi, which is kind of exciting. Tickets sold out, like that. Right now, they're online on resale websites for as much as $1,900.
Gosh.
Is that surprising?
That's pretty striking, yes.
That's for the Honolulu Symphony.
Right, yeah. I completely understand and know that this is an issue. I can come back and do some more talking with the department and see if there's any changes to our position.
It would seem to be beyond just a high number, an issue of, well, a whole bunch of issues as it relates to protecting consumers here, because as you had mentioned, a lot of those folks are out of state, so that money tends to go out of state.
Yes.
So in the case of a $1,900 Honolulu Symphony ticket, well, do you have any idea how much they're actually collecting? The symphony's actually collecting?
I don't know.
It's just over $10,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
which means almost $1,900 is going out of state in order for people here to see something that the folks who are reselling the tickets never had a chance or never had an intent to see.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So perhaps you'd like to go back and maybe rethink the testimony?
Yes.
Is that-
I can do that.
Okay. Vice Chair.
Then to add, to continue the discussion, So you're saying that if you're opposing the measure, but we're saying that the department should follow up if this measure passes, becomes law, you're imposing and you're working on rules. So are you saying beforehand right now that you're predicting that hopefully the bill dies, but if this passes, are you saying as well, taking a position that you're not going to follow through to adopt rules?
We are not taking that position. I think if this measure moves forward, then we would certainly work on our enforcement, but we're not taking a position.
Okay, and I agree to the chair and the bill before us today that, yeah, it's just unbelievable that our own people here in our state would pay a lot more to see and to participate in a venue. But it's getting out of hand, and it's no different than symphonies. We can talk about football games or whatever is happening in our state. And I think DCCA should be able to enforce these rules because it has been going on for many years. We all know that as well, but okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Further questions? If not, just one more for you there. I'll just note, your testimony in this exact same measure last year was different. It was a different position. Did something change on your end?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not sure. I believe we took comments last year. Yeah, I can get back to you. I'm not sure.
I'll actually just note, a few years before, the prior OCP director, before this one, treated this as a pretty critical issue of importance.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I wasn't with the department at the time.
Okay. Well, maybe what we can do is we can follow up offline.
Okay, sounds good.
And this goes to another committee as well, too. So I
Yeah.
think, it's best that, we just move the measure along and take it from there.
Yeah, I'll just go real quick online to, I guess both the folks who are online. For the National Independent Venue Association first, I'm just curious from the national front, what are other states doing right now on this, and what does that enforcement look like?
Sure. Yeah, this is not a controversial issue. The only people who are opposing resale price cap bills, as you'll see from the comments submitted, are organizations like SeatGeek and StubHub, who have billions of dollars to gain from price gouging your constituents. And therefore, a number of states across the country are removing resale price caps specifically in the 2025-2026 session. It's almost a dozen at this point: Delaware, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Washington State, Washington, D.C., Wisconsin, Maryland, West Virginia, Kansas, Vermont. And I know that there are others coming up in this state legislature. Enforcement is, being sorted out by a number of venues and arts colleagues across the country, but is absolutely possible. And we would encourage the legislature to regulate out-of-state actors that are duping Hawaiians. And it's very, very possible. And it's actively happening right now. And we've actually received buy-in from a number of attorney general's offices in helping us enforce this bill.
Thank you. Let me go real quick to Mr. Bartolini, if you're still with us.
Hello.
Thanks. Well, I guess from your position in the industry here in Hawaii, to what extent has this been an issue lately?
Well, I think we had a ticket buyer that submitted testimony for Josh Groban. The original ticket price was $70.50, and he paid $250, and those were like nosebleeds at the Blaisdell Arena.
Oh.
And then in 2014 for Carrie Underwood, the tickets were $695, and the consumer paid for 4 tickets $9,000.
Wow.
Oh, and I'd just like to follow up with the DCC person. The Transparency Act is already law, and Ticketmaster and SeatGeek and StubHub are all following that law. You know, when you click on the ticket, you get the actual price of the ticket with the fees.
Thanks.
So that's not an issue.
I sure would like to know how much you paid for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you everybody for your time. Let's move on to the next measure. Up next is Senate Bill 3311 relating to the Strengthen Hawaii Homes program, which establishes the program under the Department of Land and Natural Resources to award grants for qualified mitigation projects to mitigate against loss from fire, and provides eligibility criteria for residential property owners to receive grants and guidelines for contractors and assessors to perform work on mitigation projects. Testifying first on 3311 is DLNR.
Good afternoon.
Aloha and Gong Hee Fat Choi, Chair Lee, Vice Chair Inoue, and members of the committee. My name is Michael Walker. I serve as the statewide fire protection forester for the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Forestry and Wildlife. The department has submitted testimony in support of this measure. In summary, the need for the program is now. The program is modeled on other programs that have been used successfully in states on the continent. It's based on research performed by Headwaters Economics, which has been incorporated into the Kauai County Wildland Urban Interface Code for plantation villages to reduce ignitions by ember showers. The department is supportive of creating the program within the department for now, but ultimately we see this program really lying within the Office of the State Fire Marshal. However, since the Fire Marshal's office is an office of one right now, we accept to begin the program and then transfer when capacity is met there. Mahalo.
Thank you. Testifying next is DCCA.
Afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Matt Sujimura on behalf of the Insurance Division. You have our written testimony, so the Insurance Division will stand on its written comments, but happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify in SB 3311. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in this measure? Seeing none, are there questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 2979, relating to community co-management agreements, which authorizes DLNR and community-based organizations to enter into community co-management agreements concerning state lands, and makes other amendments. Testifying first is DLNR.
DLNR stands on our testimony.
Thank you. Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Good afternoon, we stand on our testimony and strong support.
Thank you. Kuaina Ulu Aomo.
Aloha, Kevin Chang for Hawai'i. We stand on our testimony as an equal for any witness.
Thank you. Malama Pupukea Waimea.
Oh, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. On behalf of Ma'alama Pupukea Waimea from the North Shore of Oahu, we're in strong support, and I just want to echo Kevin's comments about KUA's amendments being common sense ways to keep this bill moving forward. Mahalo, and it's just a pleasure to have such strong collaboration between DLNR and the communities on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Huimaka Ainana o Makana.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Chipper Wickman, Vice President of the Hui Makainano Makana. First off, Chair, thank you for personally introducing this bill. This is super important to our community. The Hui has been at the point of this, but this is now statewide Hawai'i effort, and it's really, really important. The one point I'd like to say is when our companion bill was heard in the House, there was confusion over this 65-year limit for state leases. That's not a mandate that co-management agreements are 65 years. The department has complete authority on the length of that period of time. So I just want to clarify that it's up to DLNR as they work with each of our nonprofits, what is the appropriate term of a co-management agreement? So somehow there was confusion on the House bill around that. And we do strongly support, not only KUA's requested amendments, but the amendments requested by DLNR. We've been working closely in a co-management working group for 6 months on this. So thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Ko'olau Foundation. Good afternoon.
Hello, Mike. I also stand in strong support of the written testimony and came up here because I wanted to say hello to the three of you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Please pass this out with the amendments suggested by court.
Testifying next is Moana Ohana.
I'll make it simple. I stand on my testimony and in strong support of this co-management bill as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Nature Conservancy.
Nature Conservancy stands on certain testimony and strong support and also echoes those recommendations.
Thank you. Ko'olau Poko Hawaiian Civic Club. Tiraki. Aloha.
Hello, Micah, co-chair, members of the committee. I seek strong support of this bill. This is a fact. I think the LNR is trying to fix some of the mistakes they did in the past, like the leasing of the Hei'a State Park. They leased it to an outside venue from the state of Virginia that doesn't even vote in the state of Hawaii, and it should be kept within our own community in the state of Hawaii. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Sierra Club of Hawaii. Thank you. We also had Hui Makainana o Makana, William Kinney on Zoom.
Hi, here, Kalamai. My name is on here as Billy William, same thing. Hello, Mike Ako, Mahalo Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Billy Kinney, I am currently the Assistant Director of the Hui Maka'ainana o Makana. I stand on my written testimony on behalf of the Hui. We strongly support SB 2979 with the amendments proposed by KUA and DLNR. But I would only add, as Uncle Chipper said, that this is not just a movement in pockets around Hawaii, like little places here and there. This is kind of a statewide thing that is now going to proliferate all over as you folks continue to hear this bill and these measures around community co-management. And then I would finally just add one last thing, that even Don Chang, former chair of BLNR, she was often noted as saying that there is success in the relationships built through shared kuleana or responsibility, as those that were curated in Haena between the Hui and state parks. And former chair even said that she had a pathway forward, and that was co-management. So mahalo.
Thank you. Testifying next is Hui Aloha Kiholo on Zoom.
Hello, my kako. My name is Peko Alip. I am with Hui Aloha Kiholo, here calling from the Big Island. I am in strong support of this bill. I believe that there's proven results already from co-management entities such as those like ourselves. I believe it's collaborative with the community to allow this bill to pass. And I also think that it could provide some really critical jobs in a species that we do educational outreach in the community. I think letting them know that there are entities like this that they are able to take part in. So job security is also one of those things that really come to mind. So mahalo for your time and allowing me to share my voice for this testimony. Strong support. Aloha.
Aloha. Testifying next is Chad Wiggins. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Aloha mai kako. My name is Chad Wiggins. I reside in Waimea, Lalamilo, South Kohala, Moku'oke'awe. I'm in strong support of this bill with the amendments co-recommended. I have about 20 years experience co-developing community-driven management plans in Hawaii. And over that course of time, looking into co-management, I've learned a lot about humility. Our community knows more than any person, no matter how educated, and involving community in decision-making is the path forward. Community has a kuleana, which is a responsibility and a privilege to take care of a place and a right to take care of a place. It puts a lot of accountability on their shoulders. When the authority exists outside the accountability, we get a lot of tension and conflict. So I think this is a step to reunite authority and accountability. My only recommendation is to spell out the co in co-management. What does that co mean?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Uilani Naipo.
Ano, I make aloha yakakoa pau uilani naipo, Marine Advocate for Place-Based Governance. Strong support, I submitted my testimony, I stand on it. I just wanted to highlight that I am one of the organizations in the 15 active ones in West Hawaii that will benefit from this. Many of us are informal, and we're informal because we don't have such an agreement that will solidify our partnerships with the agencies. So please pass this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And on Zoom, Joelle Edwards.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, that is everyone who had signed up to testify in this measure. Is there anyone else wishing to testify? Please come forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, my name is Barbara Quinby. I'm a resident of Kailua. I submitted written testimony late, and I do stand on that testimony in support of this measure, as well as the amendments proposed by Kauai.
Thank you. Hey, anybody else? Seeing none, are there any questions?
Aloha. Online, we have people that want to testify as well.
Sorry, have you signed up to testify online?
No, but as I'm waiting for, as I'm waiting for the other items, I want to.
Yeah, to be clear, we have to be fair to everybody who took the time to sign up because there's not going to be enough time to get to everyone. So appreciate your comments, but we'll have your written testimony for the time
But
being.
really quickly, one last thing.
IT, could you please?
No, I don't.
Thank you. I apologize, everyone. We have to be fair here. There's not enough time to get to everybody. If you took the time to sign up or even show up, we try to make sure everybody has that opportunity. That said, are there any questions on 2979? No. Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, SB 2351. Relating to the State Park Special Fund, which authorizes the Department of Land and Natural Resources to expend the monies from the State Park Special Fund for programs aimed at environmental protection. Testifying first is the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
Chair, Vice Chair, Alan Carpenter.
Good afternoon.
Acting Administrator for State Parks will stand on our written testimony in opposition.
Thank you. Hui aloha kiholo. Thank you. Next is on Zoom, Tax Foundation.
Aloha and good afternoon. Colleen Taramai on behalf of Tanya Machika. I'm also driving, so that's why there's no video. The Tax Foundation stands on its written testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Was she on, oppose, or support?
Comments. Uilani Naipo.
Uilani Naipo in strong support, submit my testimony.
Thank you. And on Zoom, Kurt Cottrell.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. That's everyone who had signed up to testify in SB 2351. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify? Let's come forward.
I'll be very quick, Chair and Vice Chair. Chipper Wickman, Hyanna resident. We've been working with state parks for over 20 years in the Hyanna State Park, which is one of the parks generating revenue that's going into the special fund. I believe it's critical that that money remain in the special fund for use in other parks that cannot generate that kind of revenue. Once we dilute that by siphoning that off, even for well-meaning projects outside of parks, it's going to diminish that special fund and the ability of parks to support it. Kurt Cottrell had some excellent testimony, so I support everything he said.
So you're in
Thank you.
opposition?
I'm in opposition, sorry. I did get mine in, but maybe it was late.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that here.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions? Just for state parks. You can come up for a second. Thanks. The intent here obviously is to make, I think, best use of resources. For your testimony, you had noted, obviously, there's been a more recent infusion of cash into the State Park Special Fund. How much of that is basically programmed or planned to be used?
All of it. And so we are working on several initiatives. Mainly, we're trying to work on a preferred contractor contract, which will allow us to more efficiently return money for heavy R&M, which is something that we've relied on CIP funds for in the past, which meant that it took forever and they were very intermittent. They weren't regular maintenance. We have an incredibly aging state park system. As I like to say, the state park system and myself are about the same age. Neither of us is aging very gracefully, and we can't just make things pretty on the surface, which is, those are the splashy projects, but every time we turn around, we're finding something that's broken under the ground. And most recently, we had to turn off our bathrooms at Sand Island State Recreation Area because of electrical blowouts. We're just building our first compliant ADA campsite at Ke'Vaheo State Recreation Area up Mauka. And I don't know if we're gonna be able to open it because the water line burst under the surface because it's 50 years old, right? So every time we turn around, we're finding another infrastructure issue. I can see a future where we could give some of this money back for well-meaning projects. Until we bring our parks up to the standards of our resources, we need this money. And we need to reinvest it.
Thanks. How much right now of that special fund, there's, I don't have it right in front of me, but is it 30 some odd $1 million?
Yeah, so I think we have 30, if we hit our target this year, and there's always little glitches with procurement and things like that, we'll spend around 33 million, which is literally all of our ceiling. And just for your information, that ceiling is artificially inflated so we can reinvest because we weren't able to spend all our money since we started accruing it. So if we spend that, our special fund will be going down because we're generating 25 million in revenue with a $33 million special fund ceiling.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Vice Chair.
Or a comment, actually. The governor has floated this green fee project of his. And I'm just curious if State Parks was one of those that are trying to get some of those funds back into your agency. But with your special fund, you should be able to address a lot of the issues you did. And actually, it's more like a shortfall because there's so many projects statewide that you need to address. You didn't participate in that green fee ask.
So great question. The green fee, I think we had modest asks, things that we wouldn't normally do. And they included like fire mitigation plans statewide, which is an emerging issue. as well as conversion of cesspools, which is an environmental issue for our recreational cabins up in Kokee. But our ask was very minimal, deferring to the other divisions in the agency who don't have the kind of robust funds that we have ourselves.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Keep up the good work you folks have been doing statewide. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your support.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all right, thank you. Let's move
Thank
on
you.
to the next measure, SB 2918, relating to the Hawaii Community Development Authority, which requires HCDA to establish a community action center in Chinatown. Testifying first on 2918 is HCDA. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the committee. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director for Hawaii Community Development Authority. In the time that I have, I'll try to be brief and hit the high points. So I appreciate the idea in this bill and thinking about HCDA for carrying it out and the confidence that you have in HCDA for doing it, and for all the supporters that have confidence in HCDA to carry out this. I would say, though, that my comments really focus around really jurisdiction and geography, and just because we can doesn't mean we should. The jurisdiction here, I think, is in city jurisdiction. I think the city and county is deeply invested in Chinatown, and I think they should continue their work. Sorry.
I can't hear you.
So I'll go over it. So I'll make 2 or 3 comments. One, it's about jurisdiction and geography, and just because you can doesn't mean we should. So jurisdiction and geography, the city and county of Honolulu is deeply invested in this area, and I think they should continue to do that work. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Act 252, as you know, Chair, Vice Chair, allows us to do work in other jurisdictions. But I think when you look at all the work that we have to do, I think there's other things that I feel we should focus on that have higher value, like doing the infrastructure and roads at UH West Oahu, doing Ivole Kapalama, electrical work in Saratoga. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Governor Abercrombie. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senators, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Chairman, I had not anticipated that the HCDA would take this position. Our situation here in Honolulu is expanding. Part of the reason we're here advocating for this, I work in Chinatown. I've been there ever since I left the governorship. I've built apartments in Chinatown, permanent rentals in Chinatown. We're going right now to build an unused commercial space to put in housing, permanent rental housing for the houseless people. Of course, the city is working with us on this. This is exactly what I wanted the HCDA to be doing when it was established and when I was governor. You want to talk about geography? HCDA right now is talking to the university about doing housing out at West Oahu College. What jurisdiction is that if it's not Chinatown? I commend these committees for seeing how important this is. Just a couple of more points. Chinatown is less than a 10-minute walk from the cruise ships coming in here right now. This is a state issue. This is that the HCDA is uniquely qualified to do. If maybe we need some changes in the HCDA to get people who are looking for work to do, looking to see how they can coordinate with the modern 21st century city. Chinatown needs precisely this kind of community center, and I will tell you, the people in Chinatown, the small businesses, the people who live there, the people who work there like I do, the people who are committed to Chinatown will work with the HCDA to see that this is done. You should be grabbing this opportunity.
I'd ask you to summarize, Governor.
That's pretty much my summary.
I have some, can I disagree with you, much as I love you, Governor?
It won't be the first time, Senator, thank you.
I know, but I disagree with you with regards to your statement with the comments that HCDA had provided, because HCDA is under the state's kuleana.
Yes.
Now, I live in Chinatown, okay? in my home away from home, being a
Yes, of
big
course.
islander. And I understand, and I'm really happy that Mayor Blangiardi is taking over and making sure the statements are correct, that Taiwan should be involved
Oh,
with
yeah.
making sure that they take care of their own building, that I love to go eat dim sum there. However, though, I disagree with the comments that you made because I need HCDA to complete our work that we have been waiting for over 20 years to redevelop Banyan Drive. So our people here can have their rooms back at reasonable prices to go to Hilo and visit. So we have a big project we're working on getting Banyan Drive going and making sure it brings back to where I worked for 21 years, back into the shape, and we need HCDA.
Absolutely.
However, though, this is, and I'm happy, your mayor, and as myself as being a former mayor as well, has done a really good job cleaning up, and I commend you. You have been involved with it, getting rid of the homeless and straightening out Chinatown. And Chinatown should be a Chinatown that we all visit out in our other states as well. But, good luck to you. But this is one, Governor, I did tell you, I love you, but I'm going to object to your position. But we'll help, and I'll go back and have my dinners in
May I
Chinatown.
respond just very briefly?
Sure.
We're not
Well,
actually.
depends on my chair, if
May I
you
just a
allow
moment?
you.
Senator, we are not in disagreement.
Okay.
Quite the opposite. What I mentioned about the geography is, this is precisely what I'm saying. Whether it's Kapolei, whether it's West Oahu, whether it's Banyan Tree, if the HCDA has been assigned to it, it's been assigned to it because of the unique capacity that HCDA has to get through procurement, to get through zoning.
And I'm glad you recognize that.
I do.
And that's why we continue to make sure that HCDA survives to doing projects on government lands
Yes.
as well, and on government features that we need to make sure our communities throughout the state are well addressed in good development plans.
As you know, the Big Island, and particularly in your jurisdiction, never had a stronger supporter than yours truly. So
I know,
what I'm
I know.
saying is HCDA was uniquely organized. I was there in 1974 and 5 when HCDA came into existence. So I'm quite familiar with the reasons why and how it's supposed to work, and it's uniquely equipped. Now, if they say there are other things to be done, of course there are other things to be done. Part of the reason that we're here, Mr. Chairman, is very important, is heart now is in Chinatown. That's why the community center, as outlined here, really needs to be done. I'm not saying instead of other things. I'm saying this is an addition whose time has come. And that's the reason that we're here.
And I'm glad you're working hard for Chinatown. Good luck.
See?
Okay.
You and me,
Bye.
I won't quit.
Okay, bye, Gov. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Chair.
Thank you. Real quick for HCDA. Thanks. Well, you heard the governor, I think, and some of the other comments. In your mind, is HCDA doing everything it's supposed to be doing, or are you limited or constrained by resources, or what's the situation?
So, people at the legislators who know me, I think I can honestly say that when a project is asked of me, I'm more likely to say yes, can do, more than no, can do. But I also, in the constraints that we have as an agency, just in terms of the various projects, I also have to be discriminate about what projects we do. So what Governor Abercrombie mentions is UH West Oahu. That is part of our statutory mandate for TOD, and that's critically important for that area. Iwalei Kapalama is also important. Kalailua, we're also trying to do. We also have a project in Central Maui, Pulehunui, where we're trying to do infrastructure for the state lands there. So if there's another government agents, and for those projects, I think we're uniquely capable to do it, and we're the ones that are going to do it. But in this instance where the city is already doing work here in Chinatown, has done work, and will continue to do it to improve it. Mayor Blangiardi, I believe, is committed to do it, as well as the city. So if there's somebody else to do it and they're already invested in it, I would suggest that they continue doing it with help from the legislature directly, is my suggestion.
One of the things that, and I haven't talked to the author of the bill about specific intent beyond it's a bill for Chinatown to do community center. What's contemplated in this measure goes beyond, I think, traditionally what the city has done in some cases, if I'm reading things right. It's not just a physical space, but it is actual build out and programmatic community engagement and all those sorts of things. Is that how you read this?
I do, but I disagree that the city is not capable of doing it. I think they're capable of doing it. One of the tasks in here is to work with HART on the redesign of a station. That's totally within the city's jurisdiction. Working on a strategic plan for economic vitalization. I don't think that's anything new to the city. Seeking additional state funding to develop areas. I think the city is well equipped to do it. As far as procuring, I mean, I think they can procure as well and as probably as fast as we can. So I disagree with that notion, Chair. I think that there's things in here that they can do just as well as we can.
I would agree that the city is capable, but I've been here for 40 some odd years, and things are pretty well the same for the most part. I'm not faulting anybody who's come before or is here now. But overall, if you look to other places, I think there are some clear examples of agencies in other cities that have been able to radically transform different communities with a little bit of will and a little bit of collaboration, even if it means moving beyond their status quo. I raise this because one of the testifiers, interestingly, on this measure is the former director of HCDA, who testified that this is a good thing that's worthy of action.
So just to note, Mr. Daniel was a former executive director of the Hawaii Community Development Authority back in the, I think, early or late 2000s. And interesting to note, he's also a board member of SHADE. I spoke to the principal member of SHADE, Mr. Sakamoto, about this and expressed the same views I have in this bill. So I acknowledge Mr. Daniel's testimony, but I still maintain the same comments I have. Thank you.
And just to add,
Sorry, just real quick. So you're essentially saying find another agency?
I'm not saying find another agency. I'm saying this, the city is already working in Chinatown to revitalize it. That's my testimony, Chair, is the city is well invested in Chinatown. I believe it has the support of the mayor. And given that there's an agency to do it, it's not like there's no other agency to do it, unlike maybe on Banyan Drive, where I think we're really the only state agency that can plan, master plan and develop Banyan Drive. I think this one, there is another alternative, and the alternative is the city and county. They're there already.
Well, just to add too, the city and county is gaining on this because they collect the real property taxes. And everyone who's there with their lands, they pay the city tons of money. And I think correctly, I support HCDA's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chair, I just want to make one last comment is, I'm not one to run away from work, as, someone might suggest, but I'm willing to do a lot of things, and I'm willing, like I said, I'm more of a yes can do than a no can do, but I do have to be discriminating about the projects we do, then look at the relative value of it versus other things we're doing. And that's really the balance that I'm trying to sort of express in this testimony, maybe not artfully, but this is what I'm trying to say. But I acknowledge the intent of this and the good intentions behind this bill.
It seems we can follow up on other conversations. It just strikes me that this is I think 2 years of conversations over various projects and programs and capacity to put into HCDA, and it is somewhat frustrating that there's been, I think to your point, say, yes, we can if, but it's been at every corner, at least in our conversations, no. And, each project has its own merits and its own situation, but the capacity that we've offered HCDA, not only in a bill last year that gives you new financing tools and other things, and offered additional resources for staffing, which you declined, now puts us in this position where you're saying you have to pick and choose. And so the question that comes to us on the legislative side, at least in my time here, has been a responsibility for us to weigh in and not ultimately let departments make those decisions if they feel resource constrained and have to choose between projects, but rather have that partnership between the legislature and the departments to collectively choose which projects go forward. So I know you guys are here for a number of other projects, not only Bang and Drive, but other things. I mean, do we then, and this is just kind of rhetorical, have to ask, all right, what should we enable you to do and what should we not? So we can follow up offline, but appreciate the conversation.
So Senator, let me just respond to one thing, if you don't mind, if I may. So under Act 252, you and I worked very closely on that, kind of intensely at times to get to a finish on Act 252, and we did. That gives us more power. On the question of staffing, at that present time when Act 252 was going through, I wasn't sure what kind of staffing I needed because I wasn't sure what kind of projects we would be getting. And, just out of careful stewardship of state resources, I'm kind of loath to ask for staffing until I know what my needs are. As to that funding mechanism in Act 252, if you're talking about the $180 million bond ceiling cap that was really earmarked for the stadium development and other bond authority, I think you're aware, and I don't have to say this, I hope I don't have to repeat this, but a bond issuance comes with the repayment obligation. As soon as the first bond is issued, the first dollar.
Director, let me stop you there, just because we're short on time.
Okay.
We can continue the conversation.
But
offline.
just getting bond issuance doesn't mean we have money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions on that? Sorry, we're in question and answer. We have a lot of testimony. There was a time to testify.
Something that she said that the city is giving the money to make these projects. However, there is 19,000
Yeah,
people that
let me
don't have
stop you. We
yes.
appreciate you guys
That don't have
being
housing.
here. There's an order to be respectful to everybody's time.
That is irrelevant.
We're not going to be able to get
So
through
these people are
everything.
making profit while these people are being homeless.
So let's move on to the next measure.
How is that? How is that?
SB
You're taking
3029,
away from the bar courses, you're taking away from the food, everything is.
relating to community development.
Speak to the last bill.
Given the situation here, we're running short on time.
Implicated in his testimony, I'd like to respond.
Yeah, I think let's move on.
If one of the members would like to ask you a question.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll give you a little bit more
Okay.
background on the bill if you want to know.
We'll follow up afterward with everybody. So, guys, we're not going to turn this into a discussion. I understand it can be frustrating at times. We have a limited window of time to get through bills that a lot of people have come just as far for. So when there's an opportunity to testify in a bill, if you've signed up, we really want to make sure everybody has that chance and make sure that we have an opportunity to get through some of these things.
And just to add, I'm sorry, ma'am, just to add, if these bills doesn't make it till the end of the agenda, some of these bills are gonna die because this is the week that we need to make sure all of the committee bills are back into its sync. And otherwise, we don't have time. This committee is targeted to adjourn at about 2:30 or whatever, but
Let's move on. Let's move on.
We don't have
We're
time,
moving on
sorry.
to SB 3029 relating to community development. which requires in each county collaboration with Hawaii Community Development Authority to establish a summer streets pilot program that closes vehicular traffic and repurposes roads for pedestrian and cyclist use, outdoor events, and other community-driven activities. Testifying first on 3029 is the Department of Health. You guys thought I was going to say HCDA, didn't you? Okay, up next, HCDA.
So Chair, Vice Chair, in the interest of time and the time deadline, I'm standing on my comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on Zoom is the Hawaii Public Health Institute. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Patty Haziz Devrakis, and I am the Active Transportation Specialist with Hawaii Public Health Institute. The Hawaii Public Health Institute, in conjunction with the Healthy Eating and Active Living Statewide Coalition, support this measure and stand on our comments. We ask that you pass this measure, and I thank you very much for your time and for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Up next is Eduardo Hernandez, I believe HBL. If not, on Zoom, Tara Rojas.
Aloha, Taro has
Good
various
afternoon.
concerns- Aloha, concerns about access, equity, unintended consequences, and meaningful community participation. Closing or repurposing streets, even though it sounds really great, even temporarily.
Ms. Rojas, can you turn your camera on, please?
Let me just finish. Can directly impact local residents, workers,
Can you-
kupuna, people with disabilities, and families who rely on vehicle
Ms.
access.
Rojas,
The inclusion
you've
of
testified here
ADA
several days now.
Can I finish?
Could you please turn your camera on? It's part of
Wait, one
the
sec. Also,
rules that we
also
have in
raises-
place to make sure
also raises
everybody.
significant-
IT, can you please mute her? Okay. Guys, I just want to be clear.
Okay.
A lot of folks go out of their way to take the time to come down here and show up, as you know. A lot of folks can't make it and are online, but we try to be fair to everybody, make sure everybody has that opportunity on whatever that issue is that's important to them. I wish we had more time to give everyone as much opportunity as they wanted to say from the top of their lungs.
Wait, may
So,
I have.
we're gonna
have
ask
my camera
everyone
on.
to
May I finish my
abide by the
testimony? Let me
rules.
read it again. I'm trying to finish my 1 minute for 3029.
Okay.
I
Can-
have.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Ms. Ross, your video is now on. You're welcome to finish your testimony. You can take the next 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Please
Okay.
proceed.
Wait, no, I have a minute. I raised.
This is the Senate rules. You have to follow the rules or I would be forced.
Meaningful community participation, even temporary, closing or repurposing streets can impact local residents, workers, kupuna, people with disabilities, and family who rely on vehicle access. The inclusion of HCDA also raises significant concern. They hold broad development authority, you just heard, and a track record of centralized decision-making that does not always reflect direct community input, community participation, or cultural accountability. Public spaces should not be placed in frameworks that increase centralized control without clear safeguards, transparency, and community participation. Also, so-called temporary pilot programs also become permanent.
Ms. Ross, I'm gonna ask you to
The bill
summarize.
establishes a pathway for expansion through reporting. So I'm going to summarize that. That's my testimony, and just for sticking to format and not listening to community voices just to get things through. That is super heavy. We're taking our time on. Even though we're here in person or online, you should respect, and not just because we're not signed up, because there's 2,000 to 5,000
Thank you, Ms.
votes that we
Rojas.
have to be watching at.
Okay, that is SB 3029. Are there any questions on this measure from anybody? Seeing none, thank you, everyone. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 3148, which, relating to the use of public lands, which defines public uses of lands as uses by an agency either directly or through disposition. I'll just note we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more bills, 7 bills roughly on the agenda today. I'm going to note for the audience, because this is one of those measures that has a ton of input and testimony, which we appreciate from everybody, that we're going to be deferring this measure because of a whole bunch of issues it has. So I'm going to say that on the outset, so that folks are aware. We're gonna certainly make an opportunity for folks to say something if they like, but if we take too much time on this measure, we're not gonna get to the others. And since almost universally the testimony is in opposition to this one, I'd ask folks to consider standing on your testimony if you so choose. So with that, on 3148, is there, first of all, let me do a quick poll. Is there anyone in the room who still wishes to testify in 3148? Come forward.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Luke Sarvis with the DLNR Chair's Office. I just wanted to note that we do not object to this deferral. If that saves anybody any time, then great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Please come forward, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Willie Teodoro Rebello, and I stand in strong opposition of this bill like everybody else. That is, please, I wish to have it for future generations, and my sons and everybody else's sons here. For me, color, race, creed, where you come from, no matter. But these beaches, these lands where I grew up on and played, I feel should be free in the Canada for everybody. It shouldn't be in any way.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else on this measure? And again, I'll note, we're deferring the measure, which means it's not moving forward.
I can say we're here, I oppose it, and the point, and speaking that I absolutely oppose it, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Me as well.
So noted.
I think we could be creative with how we use public lands and not always think that they have to be for research or resorts or housing, to like really think about where are your like houselessness conjugated and think like they're doing drugs, so they're like tapped into.
If you're gonna
No, I
continue on,
would
would you like to
so
come forward?
Oh, yeah, may I?
Yeah.
Okay. What a blessing. I feel so honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Your time limited too.
I know,
though.
I appreciate that. I understand that. I will not ramble, even though I'm very grateful. So I have actively chosen to be houseless because I have felt that like the island and the land needs more people to actually be grounded in. And what I have noticed in life is that when there are a lot of houseless people, it usually was where the Aina or the island life or the land life is I'll wait until people are paying attention.
So we're paying attention. So
Okay,
you're
I'm not
opposing
sure,
this
you're
bill.
paying attention.
You're
So
paying-
what I was saying is that when you see a lot of houseless people congregated, it means the island life is huge. So instead of thinking about just housing or commercial or whatever, maybe you could use houseless people who are living there as leaders for what needs to be used for that land, because they're doing drugs because they feel the land power, and there's not a lot of places to feel land power. There's not a lot of public spaces anymore. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else on this measure? Again, we're not moving the measure forward if you're testifying in opposition.
Aloha Chair and Vice Chair Inouye and members of the committee. Kaloi Hawaii stands on our testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 3148. And we just want to remind this committee that laying out beach chairs on our shores is not a public use. Building the 30-meter telescope is not a public use. Mining and logging is not a public use. Building an Amazon warehouse is not a public use. Building a resort is not a public use. So if if this measure would have passed, it would have allowed all these private uses to be considered public. And mahalo nui for deferring the measure. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, is that everybody on this measure?
30 seconds. And thanks so much, Chair, for deferring this measure. I just wanted to share the section that would be considered public uses, those are uses, and a lot of these uses, right? Generally, nothing prevents these uses from being approved. All the court said is start with a presumption of public use and access. And for some of these things, if it's a quarry, if it's a mine, if it's office space, very easily you can just, the public shall shouldn't be, in these spaces. You're gonna have a hard time though when it comes to beaches. And that's really what this is about. And there's a whole court case that provides background on what, just why the DLR is thinking on this. But I just want to say, we've seen this kind of shady end runs around the Constitution, around public trust for years and years, like multiple administrations. And so I'd really encourage you to, for me, the bigger problem is the staff in the Attorney General's office who are providing the kind of advice that leads to this kind of legislation. So that's the only point I want to make. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else on this measure? All right.
Yes, aloha. So,
Yes, we have several on Zoom.
I stand in strong support.
Sorry,
or
IT, is that-
I support that you deferring this.
Yes, Chair, it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you very
aloha,
much.
Tara Rokas.
All right, are there any questions?
Yep.
We have some
Seeing
folks that
none.
would like to testify on Zoom.
How many do we have?
We have about 7, Chair.
And were they signed up?
Again.
Yes, they are signed up to testify.
Okay. I'm going to ask those testifiers if you're willing to stand on your testimony. We are really short on time, and other people's bills we're not going to be able to get to. But if there is anyone, if you could just raise your hand, IT, if you could let us know if there's anybody there. We have one?
Hello,
Okay.
hi, Kako. My name is Jackie Keefe. Thank you for deferring this measure. I just think it's important for me to say that you've mentioned respecting people's time in this meeting, but you did wait until you got to this measure to defer this measure. So if you wanted to respect people's time, it would have actually been respectful if when you got there, you did defer this measure, knowing that almost every single testimony was in opposition except by DLNR. And I also just wanted to express that I've been really disappointed watching the way that this meeting has shook out. There's been a lot of bickering with people that are testifying, but also just speaking over people. And it's not a level of respect that I want to see from my elected representatives. So I would just please ask you to do better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Frankel.
Thank you. Senators, I just want to say this bill is an embarrassment. It's embarrassing that the chair of the BLNR, the former chair, and the current interim chair supported it. It's embarrassing that it cleared the Attorney General's office. It's embarrassing that Governor Green made it part of his administrative package. It is so poorly written. It is so poorly thought out. And the philosophy behind it is so misguided. It's an embarrassment. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Please proceed.
Aloha, thank you for deferring this bill. My name is Tina Holt and I'm in strong opposition. I couldn't say it better than Jackie did before, so I'll basically leave it at that. And I also would really love to remind the senators that homeless people are not to be gotten rid of. They're whole people in our society that need our support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everybody online?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. That's cute. There's a heart on the screen. Thank you. Okay. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to SB 2916 relating to the state archives, which appropriates funds for the planning, design, environmental studies for the archives. And testifying first is Dags.
And now for something completely different. Chair, Vice Chair, Senator, thank you for this opportunity. Representing Comptroller Keith Regan, I am Dr. Adam Jansen, your state archivist. DAG stands in strong support on its written testimony. And I want to add that the master plan that we've been undergoing for the last 2 years is going to be done this summer. To keep this project moving forward, we need these funds so that we don't retard it another year. The master plan clearly shows the building is out of space. And with Aloha Stadium shutting down and transferring 10 pallets of materials for long-term preservation, we have no place to put it. So to keep that project moving forward, I would please ask you to consider funding this so that the plan can continue forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a comment, and we're making sure that our Hilo Archives building is moving along as well.
If that was in my portfolio, I would
Okay,
love to
all
work
right.
on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify. Is there anyone else here for SB 2916? Seeing none, any other questions? Seeing none, all right, let's move on to SB 2692 relating to public land, which authorizes the Department of Land and Natural Resources to acquire through eminent domain leasehold interest in the Grand Naniloa Golf Course. And testifying first is DLNR. Thank you. HCDA?
Stand on our written testimony and support.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone who signed up to testify on 2692. Is there anyone else here on that measure? Seeing none, other questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 3034, relating to coastal zone management, which is going to establish a coastal resilience acquisition and leaseback program. Testifying first is the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Thank you. Up next is Surfrider Foundation on Zoom.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Hannah Lilly. I'm the Hawaii Regional Manager for Surfrider Foundation, testifying in strong support of this measure. I want to thank Senator Lee for introducing this bill, which has sparked an important conversation as reflected in the depth of testimony that we've seen. We also really appreciate the thoughtful concerns raised by DLNR. These implementation details can and should be clarified during this process, including the eligibility criteria, valuation standards, funding stability, and leaseback structure. However, refining details should not distract from the underlying reality, which is across our island, shoreline properties are increasingly no longer defensible. I want to call attention to OPSD's 2025 statewide managed retreat study. Recommendation 14 of that study specifically calls for a state-run voluntary buyout/leaseback program. SB 3034 operationalizes that recommendation and provides the statutory framework that Hawaii currently lacks. The study was commissioned by the state to inform action, and without implementing its core recommendations, we remain in a reactive posture. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify in strong support.
Thank you. Let me ask, how many people are here on this measure, 3034? Okay, let's go through that then. Thank you very much. So up next is Hawaii Association for Marine Education Research. Maui Nui Resiliency Hui on Zoom.
Aloha,
Good
Kaina
afternoon.
Shiki, calling in from Maui. I'm here to lend my voice to our beaches and public trust resources because they can't show up to these meetings, nor can they hire attorneys and high-priced lobbyists. Yet our beaches and our public trust resources are the foundation of our economy and our way of life. On Maui, we are watching erosion intensify, structures become more exposed, and public risk increase. Continuing to protect investments in increasingly hazardous shoreline areas while our beaches disappear is not long-term stewardship. The recent UHERO statewide study found that nearly 90% of Hawaii residents believe sea level rise is happening, and most support restricting development in flood-prone areas and willingness to relocate from high-risk areas. OPSD recommends exactly this legislation, and all details can be worked out and programs adjusted. Please advance this measure. Mahalo nui from Maui.
Thank you. Up next is Kahana Bay Steering Committee.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Chris Delaney with Sanhai Government Strategies here on behalf of Kahana Bay Steering Committee. We are respectfully opposed to this measure because the bill has only one option on the table, managed retreat. The bill lacks recognition of any of the comprehensive solutions to protect communities, infrastructure in our coastlines, such as protective infrastructure, nature-based solutions. We are supportive of regional solutions that keep multiple tools on the table to solve this complex issue. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Up next is Kaleo Schneider. Or Mr. Bays.
Senator Lee, Senator Inouye, Senator Lamasau. My name is Bernie Bays. I'm an attorney representing the Shoreline Preservation Coalition. SPC is an organization of community groups and individuals concerned with preserving our beaches and shorelines. SPC opposes this bill in its present form. And maybe the easiest thing for me to do and the best thing to do is simply tell you what SPC's position is on this. SPC's position is that we should preserve the beaches and the properties on the beach for as long as we can. And in places or instances where that becomes untenable, we acknowledge that public acquisition is the right way to go. But we think that this bill is a little too specific in how that's being done. We're trying to do a pilot project on the North Shore right now to figure out how this would actually be done. So we oppose passing this bill out of the committee in its present form.
Thank you. That is everybody who signed up on SB 3034. Is there anyone else on this measure?
I'll just stand and support Denise Angelini.
Thank you. Okay, that said, are there questions? We're going to take a quick recess. All right, reconvene the Committee on Waterland, Culture and Arts here in Conference Room 224. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'll note we have a hard stop in 3 minutes in this room. So what we're going to do is reconvene, we'll recess the hearing and reconvene it at 5 p.m. in Conference Room 229, which is a couple doors down, and we'll pick up then where we left off. That said, while we have 3 minutes to go, Mr. Bays, I have a question. If you come forward, please. If you would like to answer a question.
Yes.
Thanks. You testified against as well as a few of the others. But you'd mentioned there's a place for acquiring property and whatnot, depending on the circumstance. Is that right?
That's right. The test project is to acquire the 2 Van Emmerich parcels where the houses have already been destroyed, and the next parcel, and to require the owner of the parcel where the house is still there as part of the arrangement that he would be paid the fair market value of his house.
So let me stop you there. So I in the interest of time, what I really want to get at is we've had, I don't know, 3 or 4 separate bills now with different kinds of mechanisms and strategies and various things. You've testified along with some of the others on them as it relates to shoreline erosion and all this sort of stuff. While some of those you testified in support on as potential measures to help resolve the situation, I'm just curious, why oppose measures that might help other folks in other situations in other communities or other beaches?
Because of the specifics of the way this bill is done, we don't oppose that. We oppose public acquisition of private properties to accommodate shoreline changes where that's the only thing that can be done. And there are going to be places like that.
Sure. So, but in the context of
this bill,
so you're only looking at one bill passing. You're assuming in the end only one bill is going to pass, I guess is my question.
You mean 2401 or
whatever?
Well, we support public acquisition in certain cases. We think that's going to be necessary in certain instances. So we support that. What we don't support is the specifics of this bill. Could it be amended in ways that it could go forward and be constructive? Absolutely.
The way the bills are set up, and I didn't, they're introduced by a number of people from a number of different islands and so forth, but each of them encompasses a different strategy or a different mechanism or what have you. How I'm trying to understand how opposing those that don't fit your specific situation is going to help, because if all of those don't move, the only one is yours, but you're making a gamble that that's the one that's going to go, as opposed to having multiple vehicles and strategies. I guess what I'm getting at is,
Could this bill be amended in a way that both the Shoreline Preservation Coalition and Kahana would support it? Yes, I believe so.
if it can't, and if each bill is based on its title or other restrictions limited to one particular strategy, what then would you presume?
I think we need multiple strategies, so I totally support that. It's the specifics of this bill that we have issue with,
Okay.
not the concept at
Okay.
all. In
Thank you.
fact, we would support it.
Thank you. I do wish we had more time. We're at our hard stop here, so as I mentioned, we're going to be recessing this hearing. We're going to be reconvening it at 5 p.m. down the hall in conference room 229. So, recess. Good afternoon. We're reconvening the Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts on our 1:01 p.m. agenda, now in State Capitol Conference Room 225. Appreciate everybody's patience and bearing with us as we switched around a little bit here. We were in the midst of a number of bills on the agenda, so I'll just reiterate. We do have a small handful to go, and then we'll be voting on a number of measures before the day is out. So make sure your testimony is submitted in written form, and we'll ask you to keep your comments concise so we have time to get to everybody. So that said, when we left off, we were on SB 3034. I'm just wrapping that up. So we'll move on to the next measure, SB 2078, relating to the Department of Land and Natural Resources, which establishes a criminal penalty and monetary fines for fishing violations and clarifies that certain specimens taken regarding aquarium fish and the possession and use of prohibited explosives, electrofishing devices, and poisonous substances constitutes a separate offense. So testifying first on SB 2078, I imagine is DLNR.
Chair, Vice Chair, Brian Nielsen on behalf of Department of Land and Natural Resources. We stand on our written testimony. We appreciate the intent of this bill and provide some comments. Mahalo.
Thank you. Testifying next is the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair. Lena Alalay on behalf of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I just wanted to clarify our comment position. OHA certainly supports increased penalties as a way to prevent further illegal poaching in the commercial aquarium industry, but we did have a position of comment because we think that the bill needs to go further. And consistent with OHA's package bill, we are asking that this bill be amended to provide for a full ban of commercial aquarium practices. OHA adopted a ban as part of its legislative package following testimony from beneficiaries about the localized and negative effects that the commercial aquarium industry has in their communities and in the reefs that they see and use every day. And we joined not only the County of Hawaii, but the County of Kauai, Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, the neighborhood boards of Waimanalo, Kailua, Kahalu'u, and Kaneohe when OHA passed this or adopted this measure, calling on the legislature to exercise its power to ban this practice statewide. Mahalo.
Thank you. Testifying next is Ko'olau Foundation. Thank you. Kuaina Ulu Aomo on Zoom. Good afternoon.
Hi, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, mahalo for reconvening. I'm Olani Momi Fisher with Kuaina Ulu Aomo, or Kua, and we stand on our testimony in strong support, but we also support a statewide ban of aquarium fishing as well. So thank you very much for hearing this. Aloha.
Thank you. Up next is Moana Ohana.
Aloha Chair and Vice Chair Mike Nakachi. I'll save time instead of walking on up. I stand on my written testimony, and I'd also like to add that we also are in strong support of amending this particular bill in a way that initiates a ban on the aquarium trade, and for many reasons, because this particular trade is unenforceable, and the only way that some of these violations and perpetrators are people that have offended the law have only come in because of community support. So in favor of this bill, but ask that a full ban be initiated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is Sierra Club on Zoom. Oh, in the room.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Wayne Snook, Sierra Club. We're in support with amendments on this measure. I'll just say, as someone who's like, as long as I remember, I've fished, right? I've been in the water, fishing, diving, throw net, torching, and I can attest that we need much more management of our resources. Just from what I've seen personally, and unfortunately, and DAR is limited in its capacity and staffing and so forth. And unfortunately, what they're doing now is pushing forward, this is 16 pages of regulations just to reopen the commercial aquarium collection industry that's been shut down for 10 years. I think, by amending this bill to just straight up prohibit aquarium collection, which has already been banned for a decade, it will let DAR, kind of shift away from this thing and then focus more on the much needed public trust responsibilities that we need them to uphold in our initial fisheries. But happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is For the Fishes on Zoom.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair. I'm Renee Amberger with For the Fishes, an organization that has worked on this issue for 19 years. We support this bill for steeper fines, even though enforcing limits on the aquarium trade is basically impossible. And because any legal aquarium collection provides cover for illegal poaching, we believe that the best and most enforceable option is a total statewide ban. Mahalo for this opportunity to testify in support.
Thank you. Ulipak.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Activities and Attractions Association of Hawaii.
Aloha, Chair. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Antoinette Tony Marie Davis, and I'll stand on my testimony in strong support of this as well as a ban. And aloha, Senator Inouye. Nice to see you. You handled yourselves well through quite a lively audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Up next is Hui Aloha Kiholo on Zoom.
Not present, Chair.
Sustainable Fisheries on Zoom.
Also not present.
Friends of Hanama Bay. Oh, I'm sorry. They did not sign up to testify, but they did submit testimony. The next one signed up is Ko'olau Poko Hawaiian Civic Club.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. Oh, there's Chair and Co-Chair.
Right.
We're in strong support of this bill, but I think it should be statewide ban on it. And I think maybe we should look into the practice of the kapu system. Our Hawaiians have the kapu system. Over like in the 1970s, my husband started the Limu project with Dr. Abbott and Dr. Dori. They worked together on the Limu. He forewarned that. He said Limu is depleting. Some of his own friends laughed at him. Today, there's a Limu shortage statewide. We got to start looking at our resources, what we got left. We closed up Kaneohe Bay for a few years, debating with one of the commercial aquarium fishermen, And now he comes to us and said, you guys was right. But since we had the kapu system, he says, now that it's starting to come back. I'm a kayaker, I'm a paddler. I used to paddle that whole bay, and I could see across the reefs. You could see one reef was all yellow. Now today you don't see nothing. So we got to think about it. Our Hawaiian Civic Club do the Wahipana tours. We offer it free to the 96744 community. We got letters coming back from the schools. Thank you very much for the tour. Although we didn't see fish, we did see hono.
Could I ask you to summarize?
That's it.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Keanu Bini Medeiros. Uilani Naipo.
Aloha mai. I know it's a long day for all of us. Uilani Naipo, Marine Advocate for Place-Based Governance and Ocean Stewardship. Very strong support, stand on my written testimony. This is not a matter of whether we want this or a ban. We need both. We know that poaching is going on right now, and we need that added protection. But in combination, they both complement each other for the needed protection of our reefs. So please support. Mahalo.
Thanks. Testifying next is Alohi Nakachi.
Aloha Chair and Vice Chair. My name is Alohi Nakachi. I'm a Native Hawaiian Indigenous scientist with a PhD from in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Management. I stand on my written testimony in strong support and urge that we need stronger penalties, but also urge that we have an outright ban of the aquarium trade as well. And I'd just like to highlight 3 key points: that the aquarium trade has shown ecological, socioeconomic, and cultural harms. Contemporary science looks at a baseline of decline in the 90s and shows variability today, but from a baseline of Aina Momona, we are in serious decline and far from sustainable. The aquarium trade largely exists and benefits outside of the Pai'aina, with only marginal benefits in Hawaii to a small number of participants, and the costs are held by everyone else. The trade is also completely culturally unacceptable and disrespectful to remove fish for a hobbyist industry and send them out of Aina systems, particularly with compounding environmental stressors, struggles to feed Hawaii, and increasing diaspora. And that, I'll leave it at that because I have a minute, but mahalo and I can take questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad Wiggins.
Okay, aloha mai kako.
Aloha.
My name is Chad Wiggins, again from Waimea, Hawaii Island. I'm in support of this bill based on my experience, over 2 decades of experience as a scientific diver with DAR and the Nature Conservancy, and also as a fisherman and a father. My whole life I've loved to fish and I've loved to eat fish. And my son has been taught to fish pono, but not everyone fishes pono, unfortunately. And pono fishers get punished. So when the responsible fishermen who are going out of their way to follow the regulations get punished when the laws are not enforced, there's not an incentive to follow the laws. And poachers can be reformed with better enforcement. There are a number of studies throughout the Pacific that demonstrate this, and I am available for questions. So thank you.
Thank you. Kaikea Nakachi on Zoom.
Aloha, mahalo for rescheduling today. My name is Kaikea Nakachi. I stand on my written testimony in strong support. I'm also supporting the bills to ban commercial aquarium trade, as well as the bill to increase the funding for doe care. Many of us Native Hawaiian communities in West Hawaii have worked closely with doe care as Makai Watch volunteers, and I believe it's this relationship that has allowed the various AQ poachers over these past few years to be caught. It is also why we must not only end this trade, but increase the penalties, particularly since poaching often leads to busts of hundreds or sometimes thousands of fish. As long as they can get money for selling those fish, we need to be able to make those fines more to guard against their greed. I agree that a statewide ban is more enforceable and urge you all to please pass this bill with amendments to do the most good for Hawaii. And I'll just say that Native Hawaiian communities are standing by to help doe care enforce these rules. Mahalo.
Thank you. Georgie Fong.
Oh my God.
Sorry, not present, Chair.
Oh, thanks. Elena Bryant.
Aloha, Ilana Bryant testifying in support. And also, I strongly urge this committee to amend this bill to also include a ban on commercial aquarium collection. I was born and raised in Ko'olaupoko. I've served on DLNR's Kaneohe Bay Regional Council since 2021, and I come from a long line of subsistence and commercial food fishers. And our livelihood depends on the health of our reef ecosystems, healthy and thriving fish populations, and being Levi'a Pono. When aquarium collection rates in Kaneohe Bay skyrocketed in 2019 and 2020, where we saw the tripling of yellow tang collection to over 40,000 animals of that species alone taken from our bay, numerous organizations in our community took immediate action. We've had robust discussions with both sides of the table present, and as a community, we decided that the ornamental pet trade is not compatible with our community values and priorities. Numerous Ko'olaupoko community organizations passed resolutions calling for a legislative ban. These groups include Kaneohe Bay Regional Council, Kaneohe Neighborhood Board, Ko'olaupoko Hawaiian Civic Club, Ko'ola Foundation, Kahaluu Neighborhood Board, Kailua Neighborhood Board, Waimanala Neighborhood Board, and the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, which represent the voices of over 60 civic clubs and 4,000 members. I ask that you please pass this bill with amendments. Increased fines for violations alone is ineffective when collection runs around
Elena,
it.
your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Looks like that is everybody who signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in this measure? Good afternoon.
Good evening, Chair and Vice Chair. I join the rest of the folks here who are calling for supporting this bill and a ban on aquarium collection. I just wanted to remind the committee, Kylie Wager-Cruz, Earth Justice. I wanted to remind the committee that in 2023, BLNR unanimously approved a community-led petition to ban commercial aquarium collection by administrative rule, but the AG's office later informed the board that they could not do that under the aquarium fish permit statute. So Chair Chang later directed the community members in this room to come to the legislature for a legislative fix. So here we are requesting a ban in addition to stronger enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Oh, please come forward.
Aloha, Chair.
Hello.
Vice Chair. Shane Nelson from Ho'ala Kelake Kuanui on Hawaii Island. And I also stand in strong support of this particular measure. Also, reiterating what others are saying, that the other bill that's going out about the anti-ban is also super important to Hawai'i with this one as well. And the other thing too is to make sure that we are taking a look at the public trust obligations as well as we move forward. That's why we strongly support this particular bill, to reinforce what the state should be assisting in resource management as well. So mahalo, appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Were there others, I believe?
Excuse me, Chair, one on Zoom.
Oh, could you identify, did you sign up to testify?
Aloha, Kai Nishiki, calling in from Maui, and full support with amendments to ban aquarium fishing overall here in Maui County. Many years ago, my dad worked with a number of organizations to prevent aquarium fishing in Maui County. So Maui has been a leader in protecting our public trust resources, and we stand in full support. Mahalo.
Thank you. Please come on up.
Aloha, Malia Kipapa from Hawaii Island, from Kona. I am providing testimony on behalf of my Kipapo Ohana from Pahoehoe, Kona. I am in strong support against aquarium fishing, but I support this bill to ban it completely, and then also making the recommendation to amend for statewide ban, because I know this is only for Hawaii Island. But as you guys could hear, others from different islands, they also feel the same way. But I'm here to just acknowledge my support for my family. Mahalo.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Is there anyone else online? All righty, seeing none. Are there questions? Just real quick for Dar.
Aloha, Brian Nielsen, Division of Aquatic Resources.
Yeah, thanks. For the penalties in your testimony, you had raised a couple comments regarding judiciary bottlenecks. Did I get that right?
Yeah, moving it from a petty misdemeanor to a misdemeanor might create judicial bottlenecks.
How is that?
Just through a misdemeanor, they could potentially go to court and require a jury, and it might prolong the process of prolong the court process. Have doe care officers have to testify. That whole thing could just delay the process for the court to go through with its criminal violations.
We're expecting a lot of violations?
There has been a few over the years, yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't say a lot.
Okay. And then obviously we had a discussion last week, I think, similar, or about the same subject matter anyway. For you guys, when you are on different islands, how do you actually regulate? I mean, how are these folks being caught? Is it just doe care, or is it?
So like poaching cases, how have they been caught? Is that what you're asking?
Well, in this case, for pursuant to this bill with aquarium fish violations.
Yeah, so doe care would cite a poacher for violations and the number of specimens. Then it goes to court for a criminal violation, and then many times we'll take it to the board for civil violation as well, where it's up to the board's discretion to do a per specimen civil violation.
And then well, presumably, I mean, theoretically, nobody should be violating this right now because there shouldn't be any activity going on. So it's not like you're catching the wrong thing if you're catching anything. Where is that headed right now in the process for rules and everything?
In terms of where are we at with the rule process? So we're in the middle of Chapter 91. The board approved us to go to public hearing. We have to go to the Small Business Review Board. Before we hold a public hearing, we went to the Small Business Review Board. They asked us to do additional scoping with tour operators and asked for some additional information. So we actually go back to the Small Business Review Board tomorrow. And then if they approve us to go forward, then we'll go to public hearing, hold the public hearing, then go back to the board for a final evaluation with the proposed rules.
Is there like a ballpark for when that reasonably would be expected?
I think, assuming we get the support of the Small Business Review Board tomorrow, it probably would be a couple of months before we're able to hold a public hearing. And so I'm guessing sometime this summer, we'd take it back to the board.
And then after that, the board's decision is?
Yeah, then the board would decide whether to accept the proposed rules and then also authorize us to issue permits. And only 7 collectors would be eligible for those permits, since there's only 7 permittees that have gone through the EIS process successfully so far in the whole state.
Do the rules, as at least currently contemplated in whatever state they're in right now, have restrictions that would be potentially violated with these penalties that we're talking about today?
No.
What would that look like?
So would these penalties be in conflict with the proposed rules? Is that what you're asking?
Oh, if you're, let's say,
Yeah.
if you're one of the
Yeah.
7
Yes.
permittees, what would it take for you to violate and incur a
Oh,
penalty here?
so there is annual catch limits, there's species restrictions, so they would only be allowed to collect 5 species. So if they collected a 6th species not on the whitelist, then they would be subject to this. If the fishers reach their catch limit and we shut down the fishery for the year, and someone was caught collecting after that shutdown, that would be subject to this. So those are the type of things that would still be in violation.
Sure. And then before we just wrap up here, what is that level, I guess, that the rules are aiming for in terms of thresholds? What does that mean actually? How do you come up with that?
So, yeah, the board also mandated specific catch limits of the 5 species. So yellowtang, I think it's at 100,000 fish. I don't have it in front of me, but there's specific annual catch limits. And those were calculated based on historical catch. And then the board also, at least the yellowtang, the historical catch averaged at about 200,000. They reduced it down to 100,000 just to add more buffer, safeguard the populations.
If there's a bleaching event or something like that, is there some basis for ensuring that there's continuity and recovery based on those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, we're monitoring the population through our diver surveys. So if we did see a population starting to decline, we do have the ability to reduce the catch or close catch of a certain species if it didn't look like the population was doing good for whatever reason, fishing or bleaching event.
Yeah. And how often do you guys do those surveys?
They are, there's a number of surveys that we do that we and NOAA do. We do annual surveys on fixed transects, and then NOAA, every 3 years, they have a rotation, but they're doing the whole state.
But for you guys, it's once per year?
Once per year on the fixed site, and then we have some other surveys as well that is once a year, kind of random sites scattered throughout the whole West Hawaii. But I'd say it's a kind of an annual estimate of the population, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Further questions?
I was just going to add, according to this measure on page 4, well, it also identifies the penalties from the first offense to the third or subsequent. But further on page 4, if you look at line 16 on G, it says, for the purposes of this section, each fish or aquatic life specimen taking in violation of sections 188-23, which is in section 2, and 188-31 shall constitute a separate offense. So aside from what this measure calls, like $200 for first offense, $400 for second, $1,000 for third or subsequent offense. So what does this mean?
Yeah, so if you have 10 fish, the first one's worth 200,
Yeah.
the second's 400,
Okay.
the third through 10 is 1,000, the way that I read it, yeah. So that'd be a pretty hefty fine for just poaching 10 fish.
Okay, so, but it's constitute a separate offense from what's identified. So who makes that determination?
I think the courts would make
do.
that
Oh,
decision,
okay.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, the courts and then, I guess, the board.
The
So
board,
you
it would-
mentioned, okay,
Yeah.
I know that the board makes decisions in most of, I guess, these occurrences. So the board does actions after the court?
Yeah, so this is for the criminal offense, so it would go to the courts first, and then usually after the courts have made a decision, then we'll take it back to the board for civil penalties, and then we've got that finding of the court to help support whatever recommendation we're making to the board.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Actually, just one last thing. You know, this has been quite enlightening conversation. I mean, just this issue generally, it's my first kind of deep dive into it, I guess you could say. But within DAR, I mean, just listening to the testimony all around, there seems to be like direct conflict between those who are using a resource versus the risk of losing it. How is that balanced? Because you're one agency, does that not make it difficult?
I mean, we do our own assessments to look at the sustainability. We look at what type of regulations we can put forward to try to protect the ecosystems and respond to the concerns that we're hearing about the sustainability of the populations, the ecosystem. In my opinion, what this issue really boils down to is people just don't think it's a good use of the resource to harvest a fish, to put it in a tank. They don't feel that that's a good use of that resource, or it's in conflict with their cultural values or social values. And I think those are all valid arguments. But from our side, we're just looking at the sustainability and what can we do to ensure the sustainability. And I think the values and social kind of calls, that's more of a policy issue that you folks or the board would really need to weigh in on.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the question, right? And we've heard this from a number of the other testifiers who are from the, say, science side of the thing, doing a lot of the actual work in the ocean, saying that there's a lot of risk right now, and there's not a lot of path for recovery if there's you know, events that transpire. So how do you assess that? Like, what is sustainable? I mean, it's easy to just say it, right? We talk about it all the time, but how do you actually measure that and ensure? Because if there's one summer, like we've seen in various, you know, areas around the islands already, I mean, that could wipe out an entire ecosystem.
Yeah, so it's essentially a risk assessment. You know, you look at the population and the amount of harvest and other threats, and you look at, okay, how much risk are we willing to take to keep this fishery forward? And, you know, this fishery is pretty low risk compared to many of our other food fisheries, but because of our value system, we're willing to take that risk for food and provide subsistence than we are to harvest a fish to put in a tank. So I think it's just kind of that balance of values. But yeah, we look at it as a risk assessment, and we think with all of the layers of regulations, it's pretty low risk that you know, we'd go below unsustainable levels.
And then lastly, I know the House is moving bills on this issue just generally as well. I haven't read them or anything, but between the islands, the Big Island is sort of the highest concentration, I guess, of aquarium fishing. Is that right?
Yes, West Hawaii, yeah.
And then on Oahu and the other islands, are there spots where that level of risk is different because of the resources different?
The only other island that has had recent aquarium fishery and there's interest in going through the EIS process is Oahu. But yeah, Oahu is a much different management regime than West Hawaii, where you have a whole network of take and no take areas and way better fisheries data. So yeah, Oahu, the risk calculation would be different, lacking all of those different protections and management regime that we have over there.
So how does that work for you guys? How do you assess that?
So I guess just work through the process. The first is for an applicant to propose, go through the EIS process and propose that to the board. And if the board accepts that, then we do our own independent data analysis and look at catch limits, and then take that to the board to approve issuance of permits or amend the existing rules. Yeah.
So how does that square against all the folks who formerly worked with NOAA, the university, doing a lot of the science out there, saying, or basically contradicting, I think, what your data seems to suggest as you say it?
I mean, I don't see anyone from NOAA or former people from NOAA.
I know there's a lot of NOAA folks around these days. Left,
Yeah.
But
That's good point. But you don't see those same scientists weighing in on this issue. You see those scientists weighing in on some of the important herbivores like uhu and kala, which are way higher risk than the aquarium species that we're talking about today. So that's not to say there's not some scientists that are concerned, but there's lots of scientists that think that this fishery is a well-managed fishery under what the proposed regulations are.
Has there ever been a, like internal to DAR, like I won't call it a board, but a group on the science side that, whose job it is to make those evaluations and determinations?
Like an independent advisory body? Not a DAR, the Western Pacific Fisheries Management Council, they have their own type of review, but they don't do that for nearshore fisheries,
Yeah, that's
just
all.
federal. But they do have a system set up that's, I forget what it's called, the Science Review Committee that looks at the science and looks at the population and will make a recommendation based on what they see.
Is that
But, yeah.
something we should create?
Be something we could look at, yeah.
Okay,
Helpful.
thank you.
Yeah.
For the 7 that are in violations right now, did you say it's still pending?
There's 7 permittees that have completed the EIS process, and so they would be eligible to receive a permit if the board.
Oh, okay, but,
Okay, yeah.
but so that 7 are not the ones that are,
Not the
has already
violations.
been
No.
violated?
No.
You
no,
have,
yeah.
what's the numbers for those in violations right now?
I think I can remember 3 poaching cases probably in the last 4 years, aquarium specific.
But that's been settled already.
Some of them are still in contested cases. 2 have been settled, 1's still in a contested case.
Within the 4-year period that it started?
The contested case, that goes back probably 2 years, maybe 3 years. So yeah, it's a long process, but 2 have been settled,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, Senate Bill 2973 relating to fishing, which prohibits the use of jug line fishing and other jug rig variant fishing methods in state waters. And testifying first, we should probably just get comfortable up here, is, Dar.
Brian Nielsen, on behalf of the department, we stand on our written testimony. We are concerned about this fishing method and appreciate the intent and provide some comments. So mahalo.
Thank you. Up next, Moana Ohana.
Aloha mai kako. Mike Nakachi here from Moana Ohana. I stand in strong support of having a form of a bill that would then protect people from, or actually more so the resources from jug fishing. The reason for that is most Lawaiapona are responsible for their hook. When you start to throw a hook on the end of a jug, you don't have any control of what's going to bite that. It could be a monk seal, it could be a mano, which is also protected within state law. It could be many other critters that might not be the targeted catch that that particular lawaya is trying for. So with that being said, I would strongly support a bill like this to prohibit any type of jug fishing within state waters. Thank
Can I
you.
ask a question since it's up here?
Sure.
What's jug line fishing?
Senator Lorraine, it's basically a hook, and they basically throw it with a long leader. And on the end, some people just use Clorox bottles. Some people use clipped on to a buoy. And basically, you maybe throw a live opelu on the end, and you have that opelu swimming to try.
That's the bait.
The bait, yep. Fish bites it, off it goes. Fish pulls it down. They use the buoyancy to then, the fish fights against the buoyancy and the weight of the buoy on the top. Then eventually the jug line comes back, and the fisherman grabs the buoy, pulls his fish on. That's a successful jug.
Is it used right now? I mean.
It is. Yeah, so we have currently found endangered oceanic white tips on the end of jug lines, especially in Kona, where I'm from. And so these type of is an indiscriminate kill a lot of times.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a swimmer and
Yep.
I used to go in our old days, we used to call skin diving.
Yep.
And it's not called skin diving anymore. I used to catch opalo in West Hawaii in my young years, but I'm a swimmer and I'm a part-time fisherman when my dad used to go through netting. And I've never heard of this term at all. So where did you get this measure from? Did you hear about these penalties? I mean, it's kind of interesting, but yeah, they're doing something terrible in their type of fishing. I think they should go back to the old methods.
Well, that's so true. Imagine a long line with 30,000 hooks.
Oh,
Different
thank you so
story.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Sure.
Learn something every day.
Okay. Also signed up to testify on 2973 on Zoom is Laura Zoller.
Not present, Chair.
Thank you. Jared Levitt. Good afternoon.
Aloha, Chair and Vice Chair. I'm Jared Levitt, and I strongly support SB 2973. I specifically urge you to reject DLNR's proposed changes. One, the intent of the bill is to prevent the environmental and wildlife risks caused by jug-style fishing rigs. Those risks exist regardless of whether the rig is deployed from shore or by a person already in the water. Two, jug fishing gear is a homemade float system mostly constructed from household bottles. Because of this, an exemption for homemade fishing floats or bobbers could unintentionally allow the very devices the bill is trying to prohibit. I included photographs of jug rigs attached to dead animals in our near and offshore waters, dead oceanic white-tip sharks, a threatened species under the Endangered Species Act, a dead endangered Hawaiian monk seal, and Maine threatened sea turtles. This bill, in its original intent, is critical to prevent further wildlife suffering and protect our ecosystems. Mahalo.
Mahalo. That is it for 2973. Is there anyone else wishing to testify? Seeing none, are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Moving on to the next measure, second to last measure, 2975. Excuse me, SB 2975 relating to marine life conservation districts, which authorizes DLNR to close portions of an MLCD for various periods of time and adopt rules. Testifying first is Dar.
Again, Brian Nielsen, on behalf of the department, we stand on our written testimony in support. We're really looking for ways to be able to address carrying capacity issues in some of our marine life conservation districts. Act 31 just completed the carrying capacity study for the Pupakea Marine Life Conservation District. That MLCD, unlike others, it doesn't have a pinch point where you can regulate the amount of use since it's right on the side of the highway. So we're looking at how to implement some of the recommendations, the ability to be able to close the MLCD is one of the tools if you need to close for storm events or spawning events, that type of thing. We don't currently have the authority to do that. I did see quite a bit of testimony from commercial operators opposing the bill, and this wasn't our intention to try to regulate commercial operators. So if there's a way for us to work with some of the commercial operators at a compromise to move this forward, we'd be willing to do that.
I don't know, but I've been getting a lot of emails from those fishermen, and it's in opposition to this measure. Just want to
Well,
let
there's
you know.
usually no fishing in MLCs, or very mild fishing in MLCDs.
Correct,
Yeah.
but the issue is it authorizes to close all portions of any district various times, so there's no
Maybe hold
clear.
on just a sec so we can, just noting time, we get through the rest of the testifiers. and we
Okay,
can
but there's
dive
no
in.
time scheduled. Thanks.
Up next is Chad Wiggins.
All right, hello again. This time I am testifying not as an individual, but on behalf of the organization Hui Aloha Kiholo. We're a Native Hawaiian organization. For the last 18 years, we have partnered closely with state parks to help co-manage the 4,234-acre Kiholo State Park. The ability to rest a place is vital to ensure that a place can be healthy and can heal from impacts. And this is a step in the right direction. Adaptive management is important. So you asked a great question about coral bleaching before. 2015 coral bleaching would have been a great time to reduce commercial scuba diving so that the corals didn't get crushed when they're extremely stressed. I was fortunate to participate in an invasive spearfishing event at Kealakekua, and having that boat closed to other boat, or have the bay closed to boat traffic made that event safer, more focused, and more effective for management. And I'm happy to answer questions if needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Kua on Zoom.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, Olalima Fisher for Kuaina Uluawa Mokua. We stand in strong support of this bill. And I just wanted to highlight and mahalo Malama Pupuke Waimea for all the work they did in completing the Act 31 Carrying Capacity Study, which really seeks to benefit all MLCDs across Hawaii that are trying to build back that Aina Momona that we have lost. Mahalo, and please pass this measure.
Thank you. Ocean Tourism Coalition on Zoom.
Not present, Chair.
Aloha, this is Zach Pratt. Denver Coon's not available. I'll be speaking on behalf of them, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, can you turn your video on and
yes,
join us? There you are. Go ahead.
You got me. Just quickly, yes, Ocean Tourism here. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and thank you for staying late to handle these issues. We stand our written testimony in opposition to this bill and available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Malama Pupuke Waimea.
Are you, Chair? Not present. Oh, present in person.
It's okay, I'm here. Aloha, Denise Antolini, President of Malama Pupuke Waimea. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. This is the Act 31 report that people keep referring to that was done by Malama Pupuke Waimea and submitted through DLNR to the legislature on January 5th. That one of the impetus for this bill is that the Pupukea MLCD is absolutely overrun with tourists. The bill is not, from my perspective, aimed at commercial activity. Let me give you a number. At the tide pools in the cove, the traditional name is called Kapo'o, not Sharks Cove. But over 10 months, we had 603,000 visitors in a very, very small, sensitive area. And so that's what we're seeking, is the ability to work with DLNR to close some or all of the Marine Life Conservation District. Again, as Brian said, we don't have a pinch point like Hanauma Bay or some other areas. So we think the authority, it would be really, really helpful. And I do think there's other, DOBOR already regulates commercial activity, and I think there's a way to carve that out.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Okay, Save Honolulu Coalition. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks. John Carty from Save Honolulu, and we stand by our testimony, but I just wanted to add quickly that in reading the testimony from the opposition, it's all commercial and financial in nature, as if culturally and environmentally sensitive MLCDs are the only place they can operate. Honolulu is a perfect example of what happens when the industry is left to regulate itself. So regulation, involvement from the DLNR, and this bill is exactly what we need. Mahalo.
Thank you. Calypso Charters on Zoom.
They are present, Chair, but I believe they've already gone.
Okay. Well, if they
that's me again, Chair, with Calypso Charters, and we stand in our written testimony. Thank you. With the Ocean Tourism Coalition.
And then Keikoa Alep.
Oh, not present, Chair.
Okay. Is that everybody? Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Seeing none, are there any questions?
Excuse me, Chair. One on Zoom.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Aloha, Chair.
Go ahead.
Oh, so sorry. Wasn't sure if it was unmuted. Kai Nishiki, calling in to testify from Maui, and really support this measure in Maui. Honolulu Bay has literally been loved to death, And we really need the ability of DLNR to be able to close Honolulu Bay during storms. Prime example, a boat came and tied up in Honolulu Bay during a storm, and you know, they shouldn't have been there at all, and their boat was then beached and caused damage, and we just really need the ability to be able to protect marine areas like this from being loved to death and from over tourism and irresponsible folks who don't know what they're doing in a storm. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else wishing to testify in this measure? Seeing none, other questions?
Yes, Brian. I'm kind of surprised to hear the MLCDs. Why are we accepting visitors around, or, I mean, I'm hearing something in conflict, and I'm very familiar with MLCDs. And, but I'm surprised that we're allowing them within the MLCDs. Why?
Because they're MLCDs, because they're unique, beautiful places that
And
attract
it was
people. Yeah.
created for that purpose, to actually create this area, you know, for everything we can talk about, sustenance, the clarity of the water, to ensure that the disturbances for the growth of our fisheries continue over a certain length of time. It's kind of like, so visitors can go into the MLCDs and they can, like, if it's a tour boat, they can get off and go snorkeling?
Yeah, some of our most popular marine areas are
That's
actually
not what, when
MLCDs,
it
yeah.
started in West Hawaii years ago, when we formed the Kona side, and we created the length of time, what was it, 10 miles or whatever, from one point to another. I assumed that was like no take, nobody goes in. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, I really am. And it's shocking. So, I don't know, I think we need, it's like Kelikikua. No, you know, we have the visitors there, we got the issues that we've, and I mean, big issues in Kelikikua. And so this is, and I'm just stunned, sorry, but I thought it was a clear area that we preserved what the intentions of the MLCDs was supposed to be. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
Thanks.
And the fishermen, the local fishermen, and they know that, so they stay away. But then but we're allowing the visitors to go in and do what they want. The calls that I've had from our fishermen, and I support them as well, because most of them, the majority, that's to put food on their table. And they stay away from those areas. They know they have to stay away. But they're also concerned about this, because now they're worried that are any other places that's going to be enlarged, so that it'll take away their fishing areas that they go outside.
Yeah, so my reading of the bill, this would only affect MLCD, so it wouldn't affect any existing fishing practices if this was to pass. Yeah.
Okay, so the calls that I'm having, though, are from our our friends and families and neighbors that are concerned, who are the regular fishermen. They're concerned because they're not sure if this particular bill is within just the MLCDs then.
Yeah, it just applies to MLCDs.
Okay,
So.
I'm sure they're watching us on Zoom because
Yeah,
they're
okay,
worried
I hope
about
so.
it.
Okay.
So guys out there, you guys can be thankful that it seems like it doesn't affect your Kuleana areas. Okay, we got work to do with visitors going in. Okay, all right.
I just one follow-up question for is Zach still online?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, just oh, there you are.
Hello.
To the testimony about the Pupukea MLCD having a crazy number of people. Is that something that's not the situation that you are opposing regulating, if I'm hearing your
No, in
testimony
fact, I
right?
think Brian, at the tail end of his testimony, said that this particular bill was geared towards Pupukea. I mean, we have a lot of limitations on the amount of people that can go, the number of boats that can go, and the time they can be in there. So I think that Brian's last comment was to help, adjust this bill so it does apply to that MLCD, because it sounds like they are having a big problem. And so that's the conversation I've had with Brian. I know there's some other people on the call with Honolulu Bay, but I think that that's just kind of what's spun off from the bill language being a little too overly broad.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks. Let's move on to the last measure, and then we'll go into voting. SB 2084 relating to MLCDs, which requires DLNR to conduct a marine life conservation district carrying capacity program. On 2084, I believe Dar, if I had to guess.
Aloha, Brian Nielsen on behalf of the department. We stand on our written testimony and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Nature Conservancy. Thank you. Activities and Attractions Association of Hawaii on Zoom.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair. I want to stand on our testimony, but if you notice, it says with caution. We opposed Senate Bill 2975 that you just heard, mostly due because of the unfettered discretion that enables to DLNR. These MLCDs are a look, don't take. They're well respected by the commercial boating organizations. This bill, however, we support because unlike Senate Bill 2975, it's data driven. The only caution that we have with it is carrying capacities is it's broad. Is it physical? Is it ecology? Is it effective? Is it social? Carrying capacities is a scientific, there's lots of different equations for it, how this gets done. What we like about this bill is it includes us. So we support this with caution. It needs to be something that we do together. So I appreciate the time to testify. Thank you so much. We support this.
Thank you. Up next is Malama Pupukea Waimea. If you'd like to be brief.
Denise Antolini with Malama Pupukea Waimea. We had the opportunity to do a carrying capacity study through DAR, and related to what the speaker just said, there are many different kinds of carrying capacity. We did one that was biological, looking at the impact of visitors on the marine life. That was the approach that we took. That was the intent of the legislation. I do think this is a great bill. You're going to need a lot of resources to carry it out. This was a $290,000 3-year study, and we could only do a small portion of the MLCD. So support. I think it's a great opportunity to collaborate, but it needs a substantial budget. Science costs money, and hopefully it'll have a budget if it keeps moving. Mahalo.
When was that made?
What's that?
When was that created, the plan? Your study?
We just finished it was reported to the legislature January 5th. So we started in 2023. And
That was last year?
The legislation passed in 2022.
Okay.
Took us 3 years to complete it, working with DAR, and then you just got it last month.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so real new, yeah, that's
Real new,
fresh. off the
fresh.
press. Okay.
Plenty of time to read.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Hui Aloha Kiholo.
Not present, Chair.
I can speak.
Like to.
Okay, aloha. On behalf of Hui Aloha Kiholo, we support this bill, and we would encourage the examination of carrying capacity studies that are inclusive of cultural use, including those by Natalie Kirishima et al. Those studies are very important metrics to maintain both a healthy environment, a healthy community, and the quality of a place and the function of a place. So carrying capacity is going to be really variable based on whether in a rural community or an urban environment. And so the study needs to be designed appropriately for each place. Thank you.
Thank you. And then lastly, back to Zach online.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair. Yes, I just want to say quickly, we stand our written testimony and we support this bill. All that we ask is that we be involved in the process. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. There's no further questions.
Yeah, we need one more. Oh, you're here.
Here, all right.
Sorry, we
We're
got
gonna take
our
a very, very short recess.
Okay.
All right, reconvening the Committee on Water, Land, Culture and Arts for decision-making on our agendas for today, beginning with our 1:01 p.m. agenda and SB 3019 relating to consumer protection. This is prohibiting the sale of tickets at higher prices than the original price. Recommendations to move us forward with amendments. Appreciate the discussion we had. We'd like to just adopt a similar provision which is in the law in Rhode Island, which limits resale to no more than $3 above the original sale price. And we'll note that in the committee report as well to sort of explain why, but let this go on to the Consumer Protection and Judiciary Committees for further consideration.
Yeah.
There's no discussion. Vice Chair for the vote.
Yeah. The Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts Chair's recommendation on SB 3019 to pass with amendments. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Chang. Excused. Senator Lamusau.
Aye.
And Senator DeCourt.
Aye.
Okay, measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 3311 relating to the Strengthen Hawaii Homes program. I'd like to move this forward as well, just making technical amendments and defecting the date. Any discussion, any questions? See none.
Chair's recommendation to pass SB 3311 with amendments with, let's see, 4 members present, any voting with reservations, and any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 2979 relating to community co-management agreements. This was a great outpouring of support from the community, so thanks everybody. We'd like to recommend moving this forward with amendments. We'll make technical amendments, adopt DLNR's recommendations allowing for direct negotiation based on 171-43.1 and allowing multiple organizations to co-manage. That's the language from HB 2218. We'll also note in the committee report, we'll add a defective date on as it goes forward. Just noting in the committee report that the measure enables 65-year terms for lease agreements, including disposal of public land. So we'd like to have the Judiciary Committee take a look at that to make sure there's no issues there. There's no discussion on that, then
Okay.
Vice Chair.
Yes, Chair's recommendation on SB 2979 to pass with amendments with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to the next measure, Senate Bill 2351 relating to the State Parks Special Fund. We'll be deferring this measure at this time.
Okay,
Moving
which
on.
one? I'm sorry.
Oh, 2351.
Oh, okay, all right.
Moving on to SB 2918 relating to HCDA. This requires HCDA to establish a community action center in Chinatown. I'd like to recommend moving this forward with amendments, making technical amendments, adding in a defective date. we'll put in the committee report. We'd like to, I think the intent as this goes on to Ways and Means is if HCDA doesn't want to do this, then we're going to find it a new home, a different agency, which we've started a conversation on. So for the moment, I'd like to just keep it alive for our colleague whose community this is. So,
Question.
yes.
Okay, so are you doing the removing HCDA but in the committee report or with part of the amendments?
For the moment, we'll just do technical amendments and defective date because we don't have time to chop the whole
So
thing up.
HCDA still will be on then?
For the moment, but we'll note in the committee report, the intent is to find another agency to take the lead.
In the committee report?
Right.
You'll be noting that then?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was going to vote no, but if you're going to include that in the committee report, then I'll go with reservations. Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Okay. Chair's recommendation on SB 2918 to pass with amendments. Okay, Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes with reservations. Senator Chang is excused. Senator Lamusawa.
Aye.
Okay. Senator Decourt.
Aye.
Okay. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 3029 relating to community development. This is the Summer Streets program. I'd like to blank out the appropriation, add in a defective date, and let Ways and Means see if they can find some funds. So recommendation pass with amendments. There's no discussion.
Okay, Chair's recommendation on SB 3029 to pass with amendments with 4 members present. Any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excused.
Thank you. Moving on, we'll be deferring SB 3148, as we had mentioned earlier in the hearing. We'll move on to SB 2916. This is the State Archives funding bill. We'd like to blank out the appropriation and add in a defective date. Any discussion? If not, Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2916 to pass with amendments with 4 members present. Any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excused.
Thank you. Moving on to 2692. Recommendation is to move this on to the Ways and Means Committee. Again, blanking out the appropriation and adding in a defective date. Okay. There's no discussion on that.
All
Vice
right,
Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2692 to pass with amendments with 4 members present. Any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excused.
Thank you. SB 3034, we're going to defer at this time. There are other measures moving similar. Moving on to SB 2078 relating to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Appreciate everybody's testimony in this one. We'd like to make some amendments. We'll address OHA's concerns. So we'll add to the measure 188, add to 188-31A and B, except as prohibited by law, including but not limited to rules prohibiting aquarium collection that may be promulgated pursuant to HRS section 190-3. We'll amend the preamble accordingly and add technical amendments. What this basically does is does not prohibit aquarium fishing, but it gives Board of Land and Natural Resources the decision. So it takes it out of our jurisdiction and lets them, pursuant to DAR's process, figure that out. Any questions or comments? If not, Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2078 to pass with amendments with 4 members present. Any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excused.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 2973 relating to fishing. This is the jug line bill. This is new. So I recognize there's some questions. We'd like to recommend moving it to Judiciary Committee with amendments, adopting clarifying language, exempting store-bought floats, bobbers, and hat that are cast with a rod and reel and used while hand pole fishing, and adding in a defective date, and see if that changes any of the testimony in the potential next committee. Any questions on that?
And I assume, Mr. Chair, that if this bill passes, then it becomes part of DOCIR then to monitor and be part of
I
the
would-
policing
I
property?
believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. I'm sorry. You're done?
Yes.
No other comments. Okay, Chair's recommendation on SB 2973 to pass with amendments with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Okay, hearing none, measure is adopted, Mr. Chair,
Thank
with
you.
1 excused.
Moving on to SB 2975, this is Marine Life Conservation Districts. Appreciate the commentary from everybody. Recognize a lot of the testimony, actually probably like 99% of it, I think, was from neighbor island commercial operators. And recognizing from the testifiers, this was really focused at just the Oahu Pupukea MLCD. I'd like to amend it and recommend narrowing the measure just to Oahu for those purposes and adding in a defective date. So theoretically, I think most of the folks who had raised concerns would not be affected by the bill at all. Any questions about that?
Okay.
If not, Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation on SB 2975 to pass with amendments, with 4 members present, any voting with reservations. I will go with reservations on this measure. Any voting, no. Okay. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And finally, for this agenda, SB 2084 relating to Marine Life Conservation Districts. This is the analysis for this. I'd like to recommend, recommend passing with amendments, defecting the date, and just noting the appropriation is already blank.
1 second, please. 3 and 1. Okay. 2084 with amendments?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, will you also speak on the amendments again, please?
It's defecting the date. And then we'll note, just note for our purposes that the appropriation is already blanked out as it goes to the Ways and Means Committee.
Okay. Chair's recommendation on SB 2084 to pass with amendments with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so that's our 1:01 p.m. agenda, so we'll go into our 1:02 p.m. agenda. We've got just a few bills on this one, beginning with Senate Bill 17 relating to wildfire mitigation.
Okay, 1 second. we need to redo this. I need to complete it later, so, yeah. Okay. All right.
So the recommendation would be to move this, this was jointly heard with the Public Safety Committee, so.
Okay, 1 second. This is, okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
So the recommendation on SB 17 is to pass with amendments. For this measure previously heard. And those amendments will establish a working group in DLE to be administered by the Office of the State Fire Marshal, to require the working group to be comprised of subcommittees and identify clear deliverables, require the working group to integrate cultural stewardship and the development of certified wildfire resilience and stewardship standards that encourage good faith compliance and responsible land management and provide clear, legally defensible guidance for the state's communities. Expand the working group's membership to include the chairperson of the PUC, a representative of the State Fire Council, rather than the fire chief of each county, a Native Hawaiian cultural practitioner to be invited by the chairperson of the Board of Land and Natural Resources, a large landowner to be invited by the fire marshal, replacing OPSD with the Office of State Fire Marshal as the entity responsible for providing administrative support to the working group, extending the deadline for the working group to submit a report to the legislature to 30 days prior to the regular session of 2028, and appropriating funds to the Office of State Fire Marshal rather than Office of Planning and Sustainable Development for the administrative expenses of the working group, and inserting an effective date of July 1, 2050 as a defective date, and making technical non-substantive amendments.
You were going to defer this to 19 because of this?
No, you
That's
got
it.
That's
You
it.
got it.
So with amendments.
So, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So no deferment for tomorrow then? Okay. Okay, for the Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts, Chair's recommendation on SB 17 to pass with amendments with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excused.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 2367 relating to state boating facilities. This is the All Hawaii Harbor, Small Boat Harbor Bill. We'd like to recommend moving this forward. I think there's a novel approach here. So first, we'd like to recommend addressing HGEA and UPW's concerns, changing the measure from a lease program for all small boat harbors to focus only on All Hawaii itself. That includes putting in provisions retaining the civil service positions and employees and so forth. Secondly, requiring DOBOR, as they lease out the harbor, to actually bifurcate the harbor so that the Mackay side, where there's been a lot of issues with public or concerns with public access, that'll be done as one project to upgrade that pursuant to the 2022 University of Hawaii Community Design Center All Hawaii Small Boat Harbor Vision Report, which was done a few years ago. And then DOBOR would then be able to lease the core of the harbor pursuant to the bill, which should alleviate some of the concerns I think the community has, because that access will be not only preserved but improved. And then finally, we'll add a blank appropriation for planning and design for the portion of the project that we had previously mentioned with access and so forth.
Right. Chair's recommendation on SB 2367 to pass with amendments with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excuse.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 2401 relating to regional shoreline mitigation districts. We'd like to recommend moving this forward with amendments. In particular, this measure had contemplated a process, as we had discussed before, that the agencies, in particular OPSD, did not want to be made a decision maker within. So we'll fix that and swap that out so that they're providing additional support, but not going to be the decider for what constitutes viable next steps. We'll also put in language that adds to the considerations the preservation of beaches in these various communities and engages not just the shoreline owners themselves, but the surrounding businesses and community who also rely on those beaches and part of their fabric of their community. And we'll make we'll clarify the process so that these shoreline adaptation pathways, plans, and that process becomes much more clear, where folks can bring that forward, they can work with the departments, and ultimately the Board of Land and Natural Resources will have to be presented with it and have to approve anything before any of that goes forward. And then we'll add in a defective date.
Okay, you're not going to defer to tomorrow then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we got to move it.
okay. All right.
Sorry about that.
2401, okay. Chair's recommendation on SB 2401 to pass with amendments with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair, with 1 excused.
Thank you. Moving on to SB 2937 relating to search and rescue. Spoke with the author of this measure, so who recommended deferring for the moment. We'll work on it with a reso and a working group later on this session. SB 3007 relating to culture and arts. This is establishing Office of Creative Innovation. I'd like to recommend moving this forward, but clarifying the intent of this measure, its purpose, duties, reporting requirements, will allow the office to contract for services, add a couple of positions, blank appropriation, clarify the preamble to reflect all that, make tech amendments. And the intent here is to create a little bit of capacity in the creative and innovative space that other states and other jurisdictions have, where they can actually have someone who's the point helping to generate and create not only just projects, but also improvements for the way different departments do things, and be able to help improve other departments' products and services in kind of creative, innovative way, pushing the boundaries just a little bit. So we're adding in the preamble a number of examples of what that entails from other states. It's non-traditional stuff. For example, I'll just throw one out there. There's an airport that one of our delegations went to visit. Rather than just having people mowing the runways as usual, they actually had a whole bunch of robots.
Doing the work.
Yeah, little Roombas doing it. But the interesting thing out of that, which is the intent of starting from a non-traditional place and highlighting these best practices from other places, is that by mowing it more consistently, they basically had fewer bugs, which meant there were fewer birds, which meant there were fewer bird strikes at the airport, which meant not only you're saving lives, but you're saving millions of dollars. And the cool thing was they were able to do it while the robots automatically did it themselves and could write fun patterns into the runway. So it was fun for visitors coming to land. So stuff like that that's never going to be a priority in any department, but could be an idea that's presented to departments to help them improve their processes, was the intent.
Yeah. Well, let me share with you, we have a little robot at Hilo Airport. Instead of having the maintenance guys with the vacuum going on to the concrete lobby areas, the robot has been doing it. So we got a little guy out there. We need to give him a name. I'm working on it. Okay, Chair's recommendation on SB 3007 to pass with amendments. Any voting with 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Measure is adopted with 1 excuse, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And for the last measure today, SB 3146, relating to the Department of Land and Natural Resources, recommendation is to make tech amendments and add in a defective date as this goes on to WAM.
Okay. On SB 3146, Chair's recommendation to pass SB 31 to pass with amendments. With 4 members present, any voting with reservations, any no votes. Hearing none, Mr. Chair, measure is adopted with 1 excused, and I think we've had our day today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, we have. I'll just say thank you so much to everybody for your patience, and thank you to the committee members. We are adjourned.